What's going on, everybody? I am back to break down this 7-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Excited to get into it. Going to be giving you guys the top plays to get you winning some money tonight. As always, breaking it down, pitching, hitting, all of the above. If you enjoy this content, would be greatly appreciated if you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. And don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my home run call of the day. Fan favorite segment on the channel, the guy that I'm picking to go deep tonight. So without further ado, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. If you're getting very serious about MLB DFS, I would highly recommend you check out my premium content packages. You can get that link below in the description, patreon.com/KJK_DFS. I do offer a DraftKings FanDuel NBA, MLB, and a Prize Picks MLB and NBA. And I also do offer a combo package. If you play DraftKings, FanDuel, and Prize Picks, you can get access to both at a discount for either sport. So let's go pitchers first. As always, sort my sheet by K rate. It's fantasy sports. We get points for strikeouts. Figure out the top guys we want to pitch on the slate, and then we'll break down hitting on the latter half of the video. And the first guy we got to talk about is Alek Manoah. He leads the slate by a pretty sizable margin in K rate with a 27.7% K rate overall, 12.6 swinging strike rate, 26.2% K rate to righties, and a 29.1% K rate to lefties, and he gets to take on a New York Yankees opponent tonight. That is not exactly the easiest lineup in the world to face, but at the same time, they do offer plenty of strikeouts up and down, so the upside's definitely going to be there for him. Looking up and down the lineup as far as the overall strikeout rate for this New York Yankees lineup, they've cut it down a little bit with the additions of Isaiah Kinner, Fafella, and some other guys, but Judge, 25+% strikeout rate, Giancarlo Stanton, you're looking at 28% plus K rate, Joey Gallo, 30+, Kyle Higashioka, 30+. So there still is plenty of strikeouts to be had. You know, guys throughout the middle, Rizzo, LeMahieu will kind of cut down the strikeout rate a little bit. But Alek Manoah certainly going to be a viable target tonight that you could be looking to go to in your tournament lineups with some high upside if you want to pay up at pitching. So he's the first guy you want to talk about. And his hard contact rate's really good as well. Only a 251 slugging given up. His lefties is where he struggles the most. But very good in the hard contact category as well, with only 25.7% hard contact rate. Eliza Hernandez, second guy in the slate, taking on the LA Angels, comes in with a 25.1% K rate overall, a 28.2% K rate to righties, and a 22% K rate against lefties. Does have some very obvious split issues, very effective against righties, lefties, not so much so. We do look to target him when he's facing right-handed heavy lineups. I'm going to be looking at the LA Angels lineup up and down. You can see for the most part, they are rolling out quite a bit of righties. They have Tyler Wade, Jose Rojas, and Shohei Ohtani, as well as Jared Walsh hitting from the left-hand side of the plate. So I guess it is pretty neutral. They do have a 5.15 implied team total. It is some of the best hitting weather you'll find at this time of year in LA. So that's obviously a little bit of a downgrade for an Eliza Hernandez. But the strikeout rate is there, second on the list, like we just said. But it does dip down way down to 22% against lefties, and the hard contact stuff isn't exactly the greatest in the world, so it's a little bit scary when you have to take on the likes of Jared Walsh, Shohei Ohtani, etc. But I do think he's going to be a viable option in your tournament lineups tonight due to the fact that the LA Angels do feature a lineup with quite a few strikeouts. Like looking up and down their lineup as far as guys that strike out a lot, Ohtani right around 30%. Trout has a decent strikeout percentage as well, 25%, and in the middle of this order, with guys like Walsh, Adele, Rojas, Stassi. There's a lot of strikeouts to be had in this kind of portion of the lineup. 23, 31, 28, 31% K rate. So Eliza Hernandez does look like a decent play overall. The fact that the Angels do have a 5.15 implied total is a little bit scary for me, considering that's, you know, second highest on the slate, just second to the Philadelphia Phillies. But he is up there in K rate. I do think he's somewhat viable. And you just got to hope those lefties don't really get to him too much. And, you know, it's like, who else are we going to go to on the slate? We're going to figure that out as we go along here. But just keep in mind, as we're going along, the K rate's dipping for all these guys. So, Huascar, you know, could be one of those people that we're looking to target. He does have a good K rate, good ground ball, fly ball stuff. Really good as far as that's concerned. Good ground ball, fly ball stuff against righties. Lefties is where it dips off once again, similar to Eliza Hernandez. He goes down from a 25.6% K rate to a 23.3% K rate to lefties. And does give up some more hard contact. We're looking at his opponent today in the Washington Nationals as far as their lineup of down, how many righties and lefties they're looking to roll out. They do have quite a few lefties in the heart of the order, quite a few lefties at the top of the order, and then things kind of die down to all righties towards the bottom of the order. So the thing is, the Washington Nationals have a 4.75 implied total as far as, you know, the K rate and hunting their lineup. Looking at what they're rolling out, it's pretty K neutral for the most part. There are some guys that do strike out quite a bit throughout, but Also some low strikeout guys mixed in between. And they do have a 4.75 implied total. Is only a 111 favorite, but the fact that he has good ground ball, fly ball stuff, and a decent K rate might be good enough to solidify him as a candidate to be going to tonight. Because, like I said, some of these other guys not looking like they're all too great here. Alex Wood taking on the San Diego Padres with a 24.5% K rate overall. Good ground ball, fly ball stuff, a 25.1% K rate to righties, 22% K rate against lefties, but does a good job of limiting the hard contact there. Probably the best all-around ground ball, fly ball, limiting hard contact guy that we've talked about so far. He's taking on a San Diego Padres squad tonight in San Francisco, one of the best pitching environments in baseball, so that's a big deal, and it's cold this time of year. So he's automatically going to jump to the top of the list as far as guys we could look into. Oracle Park really does play very friendly for pitchers, doubles and triples. It will kind of play an open outfield for that. But outside of that, really hard to get the ball out of this stadium. It is only 51 degrees. There's 25-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. But the way San Francisco Stadium is designed, the wind factors doesn't exactly have the same effect as some of the other more open stadiums throughout the league. So I'm really not too worried about that. 25 miles an hour is very significant for the most part, but like the cold weather, the pitching environment kind of outweighs that. He is a 142 favorite, and automatically that pitching weather is going to make him look like someone that's pretty intriguing to want to be playing tonight, honestly. So I think Alex Wood's definitely a viable candidate. Dylan Bundy taking on the Seattle Mariners, 23.3% K rate overall with a 27.3% K rate to righties and only a 19% K rate to lefties. So an extreme splits guy when it comes to his K rate. Really looking to target him against very right-handed heavy lineups. Looking at the Seattle Mariners and what they're rolling out today. They do have quite a few righties in there, but also quite a few lefties. It's pretty neutral when you go up and down the lineup. It's pretty split in half here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lefties, 5 righties. So 4.31 implied total for the Mariners does kind of pique my interest just because it's such a low total. Some of these other teams we've been talking about, obviously they don't quite have that low of a total. Pitching in Minnesota is never too bad of a thing for Dylan Bundy. Definitely going to be a lot better than where he used to pitch in Baltimore, I can tell you that much. But, overall, the guy really didn't have the greatest of years last year, and he does have some really heavy splits. So, but the fact of the matter is, when you're looking at pricing as well, we haven't even discussed really pricing so far in the breakdown. I'm just trying to dig into the numbers. You do get a nice discount down to Dylan Bundy at only 5.6 over here on DraftKings compared to some of the pay-up options. And then when you're going over to FanDuel, as far as where they've got him priced at, let's see, Dylan Bundy priced at 6.3. So it is kind of a cheap guy that you could be going to if you need some salary relief for some big bats that is taking on an opponent with a very low team total. So at this stage of the year, some of these pitchers aren't stretched out all the way. They're not even getting their full pitch count. Dylan Bundy could be a viable candidate strictly alone for that. The fact that he's cheap, he's going to have a decent allotment of pitches, not a bad thing. Ranger Suarez taking on the New York Mets is the top guy on the slate as far as Sierra. Fantastic ground ball, fly ball stuff. To both sides of the plate. The only problem is he doesn't have the highest strikeout rates, but he does have a 27% K rating to lefties. The righties, it's only a 21.5, but probably the best real-life pitcher we've talked about so far, just from a strict underlying metrics number. Alek Manoah is really good, obviously, but Ranger Suarez, real-life pitching, just does a fantastic job of keeping the ball on the ground, limiting hard contact, not getting himself in too much trouble. He gets to take on a New York Mets squad tonight that only has a 4.32 implied run total. He is a 152 favorite. In Philadelphia, which is a little bit less than ideal from a pitching environment. Philadelphia is a very good hitter's ballpark, but still, the fact that he doesn't allow the ball to be hit in the air, if he doesn't allow the ball to be hit in the air, it can't go out of the yard, which this is a very friendly home run hitter's ballpark in Citizens Bank Park. But I do think that Ranger Suarez might be automatically, a viable candidate tonight, just strictly based on that. A lot of these guys we've talked about, there's a little bit of rough around the edges. There's a high implied run total on the other side. So Ranger Suarez, certainly really, really good at commanding the game, not giving up too much hard contact. On a site like DraftKings where you get the points deducted for hits given up, etc. Certainly would pique my interest on a slate like tonight. Michael Lorenzen taking on the Miami Marlins, 22.9% K rate overall, a 13.8 swinging strike rate that tops the slate with a 23.8% K rate to righties and a 22% K rate to lefties. Has been a bullpen arm, but is being converted into a starter here. So it'll be interesting to see how deep he can go into the games. But he does get to take on a Miami Marlins opponent tonight that has made some improvements to the lineup. They've made some solid additions with Jorge Soler at the top. You have Jesus Aguilar still in the middle, Jesus Sanchez with some power, Garrett Cooper, Avisail Garcia, Joey Wendell, Jazz Chisholm at the bottom of the lineup. So they're not quite as bad as they were in years past, but they still do only have a 4.35 implied run total. Lorenzen is cheap, and like I just said, he does lead the slate and swinging strike rate. So he does have some pretty dominant stuff when he's able to get hitters missing. And then when you're looking at price tags for Michael Lorenzen, he's only 6'2" on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they've got him priced at 6'7". So, I mean, I do think that that's somewhat interesting on, early in the year with all these guys being limited on their pitch count. Once again, I'm kind of looking for guys that can probably pitch around the same pitch count as these other starters that are limited and still get you there. So I don't hate that. Luis Patino taking on the Oakland Athletics is automatically going to make him a viable candidate because the Oakland Athletics are terrible. He has a 27% K rate to righties, only a 17.3% K rate to lefties. Really, really bad against lefties. Righties, he's been really dominant. He is pitching in Tampa in the Trop, which is one of the best pitching environments in baseball, so that's automatically going to make him a viable candidate. Once again, similar to what we talked about in San Francisco, Tropicana is not friendly to opposing hitters, so that automatically makes him look pretty interesting. He is a 218 favorite as well. They got him priced at 7-8 over here on DraftKings, so he's kind of middle of the pack. And then when you're going over to FanDuel, as far as Patino, they've got him priced at 6-8. So definitely less than impressive numbers. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is he's in Tampa Bay. They are very, very good at transforming these pitchers into something. I mean, the Tampa Bay Rays just do a fantastic job at that. So maybe he's going to have a bounce-back season, and can't ask for a much better matchup taking on this Oakland Athletics squad that's rolling out like a double-A lineup all game long. They're going to be a team we're looking to target. Lots and lots of strikeouts in that lineup, man, and he's in a great pitching environment, so that's automatically going to make him a viable candidate tonight. Similar to like Alex Wood, who we discussed. Alex Wood probably has a longer leash than Patino, but Patino's cheaper, and the matchup's just fantastic, so don't mind going to him. And then when you're looking at the righty-lefty splits, they do have a lot of righties in there. McKinney, Seth Brown, and Tony Kemp, the only lefties. So there's 3 lefties in there. We just talked about he does strike out a lot more of those righties, which is going to make him look pretty interesting. Jameson Taillon taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Like, sure, if you want to go there. His splits are a little bit scary. He doesn't walk anyone. He gives up quite a bit of hard contact, and he's taking on the Toronto Blue Jays in Yankee Stadium. That's a little bit scary for me. I really don't want to be targeting this lineup this year. They are dangerous, man. I think he's a tournament arm, obviously, if you want to go to him, but they really don't strike out either. Like, Toronto doesn't strike out. The highest guys in strikeout rate are Teoscar Hernandez and Matt Chapman. Outside of that, there's really no one in the lineup that has a 20+% K rate outside of Cavan Biggio in the 9 spot, so that's a little bit scary for me. Probably going to be a no, and I don't really think I have too much interest. I mean, Taijuan Walker against Philadelphia, 22.3% K rate overall, 22.1 to righties, and 22.6 to lefties. He has had his moments in the past, so if you want to go to him, but the Phillies do have a 5.18 implied total. And when you're looking at the Phillies' abilities as far as strikeout rate's concerned, there are quite a few strikeouts in there, so if you want to go there, Philadelphia is definitely a much worse pitcher's ballpark than what Taijuan Walker's used to in New York, though, so that's a little bit scary. And then from there on, man, like, it gets pretty ugly pretty quick. Chris Flexen's really not good. Paul Blackburn's really not good. Josh Rogers is really not good except for lefties, so I think we can transition on over to bats. Let's break that down, figure out the bats that we're going to want to target. And as always, I like to go ahead and sort my sheet by Sierra, skill and active ERA, worst to best, figure out the guys that we can really target. And the worst guy on the slate today is going to be Josh Rogers, taking on the Atlanta Braves with a 50 innings pitch sample size since 2019. Really low strikeout rate, a lot of hard contact given up, especially against righties. He gives up a 677 slugging with a 40.7% hard contact rate and a 438 WOBA, as well as a 53.8% fly ball rate. If you cannot tell by my sheet, that is very, very bad. That is dark red, which means not good, to say the least. And the Atlanta Braves righties are going to be in a fantastic spot tonight, taking on Josh Rogers, so that's going to immediately pique my interest. Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Marcell Ozuna, Adam Duvall, Travis d'Arnaud, Dansby Swanson, Orlando Arcia, and then mixing in the lefties of Eddie Rosario, Matt Olson, if they're able to get him out of the game early and get to that Nationals bullpen. The Braves could be in for a big game tonight, so I definitely do like their lefties. I'm sorry, their righties. Especially Ozzie Albies at the top of the lineup. He's a switch hitter that hits notoriously better from the right-handed side of the plate when he's taking on left-handed pitching. So Ozzie's going to be in a really good spot tonight for sure. Chris Flexen taking on the Minnesota Twins. 33.3% hard contact rate. K rate's really not that high. He gives up a 446 slugging to righties, a 379 slugging to lefties. Is a little bit better against lefties, but overall gets up a lot of hard contact to both sides. Doesn't really walk people, which is good for our lineups because that means our hitters actually get to hit the ball. And the Twins have been hot to start things out, man. Byron Buxton, Luis Arias, They have Carlos Correa, Jorge Polanco, Alex Kirilloff, Miguel Sano, Max Kepler, Ryan Jeffers. We've seen Gary Sanchez crack the lineup sometimes as well. Lots of power, so I do think that the Minnesota Twins are an interesting stack. The ballpark could be better, as we mentioned earlier. Minnesota doesn't exactly play the most friendly to those right-handed hitters down the left field line. It's much more friendly to the left-handed hitters. But Byron Buxton is en fuego to start the season. He had 3 at-bats in a row with a home run, so he's automatically going to be someone you want to look to against Chris Flexen with less than impressive underlying metrics. He did take a step forward last season, though. I mean, Chris Flexen's priced up to 9.6 compared to some of these other guys on the slate today, so I don't know, man. They're expecting him to be a lot better moving forward for the Seattle Mariners, so maybe take these numbers since 2019 with a grain of salt, but overall, he's been not too great. And to me, I'm still willing to attack him. I'm always willing to kind of go against the grain if the pricing's not there and people are assuming he's a better pitcher now, which he might be. Obviously, I'm going to dig into the underlying metrics and the pitch data and stuff throughout the day, and then my premium content members, you'll see the reflection on my cheat sheet, my core plays, my top stacks, and all that stuff. But first look, he doesn't look like he's that scary to be targeting me. Paul Blackburn, really good in the ground ball, fly ball stuff. To righties against lefties is where it goes downhill pretty quick here. A 620 slugging, giving up 436 WOBA. Really does not do too hot against the left-handed hitter, so that's going to make the Tampa Bay lefties look pretty good for me tonight. Brandon Lau, G-Man Choi, Josh Lowe, Kevin Kiermaier, Francisco Mejia, and Brett Phillips, as well as Taylor Walls. Stacking up those lefties and then rounding out your stacks with the righties. I mean, Wander Franco as well, switch hitter in this 2-hole, obviously. He's going to be a fantastic play. Didn't mean to skip over him. And then Randy Rosarina in the cleanup spot, but looks like a pretty good spot for the Rays tonight for sure. The A's just rebuilding. They don't really have much to offer in anything. Pitching, hitting, pretty bad. So a 4.8 implied run total, a bad bullpen that they can get to if they blow things up early. Obviously, they're going to be bringing in arms that aren't so valuable to their winning aspirations. So I don't mind the Tampa Bay Rays stack. It'd be nice if they were in a better field environment, but beggars can't be choosers. Luis Patino taking on the Oakland Athletics. We already broke him down when we talked about pitching, but it's pretty simple. A lot better against righties. Still does give up a decent amount of hard contact rate in fly balls to those righties, but he's a lot worse against lefties. So really for Oakland, I'm going to be targeting one-off lefties most likely. Tony Kemp really doesn't have that much power. Seth Brown in the cleanup spot, Billy McKinney are the two that I would say stick out the most there if you're looking to target Patino. Taijuan Walker taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Definitely does have a hard contact and fly ball issue to left-handed hitting specifically. Pretty splits neutral across the board, though, and Philadelphia does have a pretty decent implied run total, and there are 9-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to center tonight, 59-degree weather. The Phillies just have a loaded lineup with a lot of power, man. Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, Rhys Hoskins, Didi Gregorius, Gene Segura, Bryson Stott, Matt Vierling. 5.18 implied run total. Taijuan Walker, a guy that can be hit or miss, so it's a situation where you can stack a Philly or play Taijuan Walker. It really is one of those situations, so if you want to do that. Seattle taking on Dylan Bundy. We already talked about him. He is reverse splitsy. He has been in his career for quite some time as far as giving up more hard contact to right-hand hitting. Does give up a lot more strikeouts, but he does give up a lot more hard contact to those righties as well. So targeting power guys like a Ty France, a Mitch Haniger, Eugenio Suarez, Julio Rodriguez, the top prospect, would make the most sense for me. Obviously, you can round out your stacks with Jesse Winker, Adam Frazier, Jared Kelenic, but just keep in mind that Dylan Bundy is traditionally more on the reverse splitsy side if you're going to that Seattle stack tonight. Jameson Taillon taking on Toronto, gives a 424 slugging to righties, a 410 slugging to lefties. Pretty neutral across the board, kind of similar to a Taijuan Walker we discussed. And the Toronto Blue Jays are just hashtag good, so they're automatically going to be a viable candidate every time they take the floor. Or the floor, not NBA anymore. Anytime they take the field. And Springer, Bichette, Guerrero, Teoscar Hernandez, Lourdes Gurriel, Matt Chapman. Just a ton of power. They're in Yankee Stadium, one of the best home run ballparks in the league. Looking at the ballpark dynamics here in New York. Yankee Stadium, lots of home runs out. Lots of home runs out in Yankee Stadium. So, obviously, Toronto definitely certainly does look like a viable stack tonight. Michael Lorenzen taking on Miami. As far as his stuff's concerned, he's pretty good against both sides of the plate, honestly. From hard contact to slugging, all that stuff. He doesn't really have that much that we can exploit outside of his walk issues. Can have some walk issues. The bases can get kind of busy. And then, obviously, when you're having to pitch under pressure with guys on base, that can get a little bit ugly. And it is in LA with 11-mile-an-hour winds blowing out, 63 degrees this time of year. So you can make an argument for those Miami Marlins bats for that reason alone. But outside of that, the underlying metrics don't look that intriguing to target. Elizer Hernandez, a lot of hard contact. The most hard contact on the slate with a 38.9% hard contact rate, and specifically against lefties, is just absolutely terrible. 582 slugging, 41.9% hard contact rate, and the LA Angels have a few really talented left-handed hitters. A guy named Shohei Ohtani you might have heard about before is really good. Jared Walsh, Jose Rojas. I mean, this is just a smash spot for Shohei Ohtani. Looking at the numbers, I mean, a 582 slugging, giving up 41.9% hard contact rate. That is hashtag bad. 47.1% fly ball rate, man. That's bad stuff. So the lefties really do look good. Ohtani, Walsh, Rojas, Tyler Wade, all going to be fantastic options tonight. And then that's pretty much it. I mean, once we get down here, we don't really want to be targeting any of these guys. Huascar Ynoa is a little bit worse against righties in the slugging department, but he's really good at keeping the ball on the ground. Manoah against the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees are in Yankee Stadium, and he's a young kid that could, give it up. So, I mean, the Yankees just have a lot of power. So, if you want to go to them, but I mean, this guy's got really, really good numbers against right-handed hitting. A 251 slugging, 23.9% hard contact rate. Like, that is less than ideal. So, I think if I'm targeting the Yankees, I'm probably looking to target the lefties for the most part against him. And I mean, this kid he looks like he's the real deal. I actually went to Yankee Stadium and watched him pitch live, and his stuff's really good. So yeah, man, the Yankees 4.5 implied run total. It's a great hitting environment. They could get to the kid. They always have a lot of power, so just the depth of the lineup alone makes them viable. But I don't know. I'd be lying to you if I said the numbers make it so I really want to target them too much tonight. So without further ado, guys, that is my overall breakdown. If you enjoyed, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel with the notification bell. Before I let you guys go, of course, I got to give you my home run call of the day. Let's get into it. And my home run call of the day today is going to be Ozzie Albies taking on Josh Rogers. We had mentioned Ozzie Albies splits as a switch hitter, really does rake from the right-handed side of the plate. And he gets a fantastic matchup tonight taking on Josh Rogers, who has just been absolutely terrible against right-handed hitting. A 677 slugging, giving up 40.7% hard contact rate with a 438 WOBA and a 53.8% fly ball rate. And then when you break down what he goes to as far as his pitch repertoire, really reliant on the fastball slider combination, and Albies crutches both of those pitches. On average on the fastball, you're looking at a 90 to 92 mile an hour fastball. Ozzie Albies features a 524 ISO with a 563 WOBA off left-handed pitching with that pitch, and the slider isn't an issue either because Albies crutches that. A 254 ISO with a 450 WOBA. Love this spot for Ozzie Albies. Get him in your lineup because he is my home run call of the day. So there we go, guys. Ozzie Albies, get him in your lineups. And that is all from me in this one. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell before you head out the door. Wishing you all the best of luck tonight. And if you want to check out the premium content packages, check them out. Patreon.com/KJK_DFS. That's all for me, guys. Best of luck to you tonight, and we will see you in the next one.